Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 70 for October 24th, 2018. Okay, I'm playing DJ. Okay, it's
apparently, yeah.
It's probably not good for me to do, but can I just say episode 70? Have we really been here for almost a year and a half?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Well, welcome. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host this evening. And with me is my friend in Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hey, everybody. League is Gold Star, first one in the chat room. Thanks for the music, Lee. And then, of course, let's see, JT Hockey Day hopped in. So, hey, guys.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
That's all I got.
I'm going to pot that down. We have a ton of news. Mr. Mark Coughlin, who is normally an integral part of the Tesla Life team, as you're well aware, is off on a reconnaissance mission, and we don't know where.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. He said he might try and call in, so who knows?
No, it might be. David just jumped in and said he's listening to the earnings call. So he's doing 2 shows at once right now. So
I have this feeling he's not listening to the earnings call.
Okay.
That's a guess.
Yeah.
First up tonight, Electrek, our friends at Electrek, announced that, Tesla announced this week that they are going to be releasing a brand new mid-range Model 3. And you ask, a brand new mid-range Model 3?
What?
Who asked for that? Well, everybody who wanted one cheaper.
Yes.
This one starts at $45,000. It's a rear-wheel drive, mid-range battery. Of course, not the long range and not what the $35,000 Model 3 will eventually have. So we assume a little more mileage.
260 miles?
260 miles. Thank you. I was going to say not the 310 that you're used to with the long range pack. This is about 260 miles. So 125 mile an hour top speed, 5.6 seconds, 0 to 60. And the motor is red.
Yes.
Is
the motor actually red? That's something I've always wondered. Or is it just to show like where the motor is located, or that there's one motor and it's not a dual motor?
I'm going to be really disappointed if that's just in the picture.
Yeah, I know. It needs to be
a red motor.
Yes.
Obviously, good news for people waiting in line. Good news is that Tesla is going to do its very best to deliver as many of these this year, which means $7,500 federal tax credit if you're in the lower 48. If you're up north, you don't get a credit anyway because you voted for the wrong person in Ontario.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, maybe that was was that judgy?
I don't know, because, this country has a history of voting for the wrong people too. So,
big history.
Hold my beer.
Big history. Yeah, no. That's, yeah. So cheers to our friends in Ontario. Cheers to everyone in the lower 48. If this brings the Model 3 into your financial grasp, then awesome, because you get on there, put your Model 3 in order, and get going.
So let me ask you this. We've talked about this before.
Oh, yes.
Some of the cars, and we've seen this in emergency situations like hurricanes, where Tesla has unlocked additional capacity, kind of showing that all the batteries are the same size. They just software limit. So did they actually release a mid-range battery pack, or did they release the regular cars but with a software limiter?
It is my understanding from what I've read that this is a different battery pack.
Okay.
That this is a physically smaller battery pack. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and just suggest that too, some of the extra range that they unlock is probably battery management range.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And not so much like, hey, there's an extra, you know what I mean? Like, but it would be weird. Like, hey, there's 100 cells in the car that never get used. You know what I mean? Like, and we're going to let you use them for the first, like.
But remember, I mean, we've talked about it many times. One of the, dare I say, one of the efficiencies of Tesla's entire ecosystem is that they could install all the features on all the cars and then upsell them at a later time.
Maybe not all, but
Okay,
most.
Okay,
but
yeah,
yes,
I went
absolutely.
hyperbolic. Yeah,
No, that's okay though. But I mean, it's you went Elon.
What do you know?
Ouch. But no. I mean, again, that is certainly one of Tesla's innovations is over-the-air software updates and being able to enable features, being able to say, okay, well, the braking distance isn't long enough in this vehicle. We're going to fix that with software. And they did. So,
Right.
that's huge.
Even things like, possibly being able to add navigation and, what I'm saying is being able to add features that the hardware is already there, but the software hasn't unlocked them. And when you think about the efficiencies of manufacturing in that, you have one line manufacturing one car that is then software controlled and, and maybe sold at a lower price, but then upsold later, 2 or 3 years later, it's like, hey, did you know that for an additional $1,500, you could unlock this feature in your car? Your car already has the hardware for that.
Well, I'm going to answer that question with the next news story. Electrek announced last week, and certainly it was no small topic. If you watch What Drives Us, we did a special episode of What Drives Us on Monday, which you can watch. It's over an hour, a discussion into this issue. But late last week, Tesla removed full self-driving capability package from their websites due to confusion. And needless to say, there are people that bought the hardware and have that installed and have been waiting for the software to activate. And now it seems that may be up in the air. Now, there has been some communication, less formal perhaps than removing the package from the website, that this is just a time thing. This will eventually be working and it will, then everybody will have full self-driving. The other part of the problem is that earlier, and we'd reported this story, that Tesla had said the computers in existing FSD cars were not going to be adequate to process the information, and new computers would need to be used, and that Tesla would supply those new computers to anyone who had bought FSD and had the old computer that wouldn't work. And that, my friend, is the problem with installing a lot of hardware and then only activating some of it by software time, because sometimes you figure out you didn't install the right hardware. That's my response to that, Mr. Schaefer.
Well, that sounds valid.
Wow, I didn't think you'd give up that easy.
No. Sorry, I was also mildly distracted because Jay Ray in the chat just reported that Tesla is profitable, and I was just looking for some.
We have a story coming up about that.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks.
But like I said, the earning call is going on right now, and so we're getting up to the minute updates.
Is it? I thought it was over already.
Well, okay, so it's okay, but
no. I mean, maybe it is. More news from China.
It's China.
China. Are you saying China?
Yeah, that's literally how El Presidente pronounced it.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there. News today from Shanghai that the Gigafactory 3 is moving forward. There are apparently some loan agreements in place with local Shanghai banks for low interest loans to finance the Gigafactory construction.
All right. I just got a picture from Mark Coughlin. He is doing recon, and this is the picture he sent from Shanghai.
Wow.
And if you look, there are bobcats.
Those are
not really.
Those are big cranes.
Yeah.
And this is, again, according to, I think it's according to Insight EVs, this is the factory site, the physical location, and they're already scraping some dirt.
Well, I thought they were done. You got a sprung structure. What more do you need?
I see it right there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a very good question, Mr. Schaefer. Maybe everything's going to come out of that check. And wouldn't it be a miracle if it did?
That would
Like
be awesome.
half
Yeah.
a million cars a year coming out of that little Quonset
Right.
hut down there in the corner.
Yeah.
So either way, that's cool. I mean, no one, but the faster the better. The more
Mhm.
quickly they can get this factory up and running and pushing out cars to hope to sell in China and hopefully be much more competitive than they are currently, because they have to import all their cars and there is a tariff on that in China, which makes Teslas very, very expensive.
Yep.
So what you got there, Tony?
This is the official announcement.
Oh, in
Yeah.
Chinese.
Right.
And for all we know, that says something really rude, but we're not sure.
It says I think it's a chicken soup recipe.
Chicken soup. I like that.
Yes, it might be.
So, yeah, there is construction is already underway, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's Gigafactory
3.
number 3.
And yes, I think this is awesome. I think it's great. Like I've said before, China, we've heard this with other manufacturers. They've said, if you're going to sell in our country, you're going to manufacture in our country. And it's a huge market. Even though they put a lot of money and infrastructure into very dirty coal plants recently in China, they are severely backpedaling from that decision. And so they're looking for alternatives and alternative energy, and they're looking to get ground level pollutants out of their cities, and electric vehicles. Electrification is certainly one of those. We also know, we've talked about the Chinese, what the middle class is definitely growing. The upper class is growing. And, cars that cost much more than the average car are going to be in demand, if not already. We saw this with Faraday Future, right? We were talking about who on earth would ever buy one of these ridiculous cars. And the answer was, they're going to be in China because that's where people are going to buy them.
Ridiculous cars, or just that Faraday Future?
That Faraday Future. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So again, I think this is great. Gigafactory 3 being in China. So you have China, and then the entire Southeast Asian market that we know Australia has been asking for Teslas. Well, now they're going to start building them a lot closer than California.
There is that, right? I mean, obviously, that whole hemisphere could be so much better served by a factory in that area, lowering costs, lowering carbon footprints for delivery. I don't know what the import-export rules between China and Australia are, but wouldn't it be nice if Australians could get reasonably priced Teslas from China?
Yes.
That just seems like it might work.
Yeah, it just might. And as far as we know, next model or R&D, whatever could take place, here less expensively, and then we would see the ripple effect worldwide. So we'll have to see where this goes. It might be, 5 years before we see, huge impacts.
Yeah. Hey, Tony, can you bring up the pictures for the next story we're going to talk about is the Boring Company. And for some reason, the Teslarati thing isn't loading for me. But big progress in Hawthorne, California, from where Tesla is, or excuse me, where the Boring Company are drilling their first tunnel from a home. They're going to build a little lift, drop 40 feet down into the ground, and then a tunnel to SpaceX, where there'll be another lift on the other end. And let's see. Oh, thank you, Tony. Yeah. I'm sorry, there we go. Look at this shiny new tunnel. Now, we had a picture of this like a week before without the lighting, and it really didn't look very impressive. Now, granted, they didn't bother cleaning up the dirt, but whatever. It's a beautiful new white.
Underground. You have to have that tunnel look,
well-lit tunnel. Yeah, I'm a little worried about the rail alignment on some of these, but I don't want to, I hate reading too much into
the train will straighten them out.
Yeah. Yes, it will, won't it? Yes, it will. And just to
there were more. Yeah, here's another stretch that is
so
much darker.
That's actually, I think, the same stretch, just not lit. The photos, in fact, flipped. But yeah,
I don't know. This one has more of a platform.
And the other one didn't?
No, the other one's like is just rounder.
Oh, excuse me. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
They hadn't added that in yet. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And then here's
there we go. There's the map in Hawthorne from O'Leary Station, as apparently they're calling it. Yeah. This is the house that Boring Company bought, and then the tunnel to SpaceX.
I think that 90-degree turn seems a little odd.
I got nothing. Anything I say here, yeah. I mean, I don't really, yeah. Yeah. It's a little odd, isn't it?
And then we've got, here's how you get in.
There's the hole. Boom.
That's just a big hole in the ground, literally.
Yeah, literally. 40 foot straight down.
Yep. And then here's where your Tesla just drops, just bonk.
Just falls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good suspension.
And then you push it. I think you have to push it over onto the rail sideways, and then it gets on the rail, and then it takes off.
It lands on the. We haven't really heard whether or not this is going to be a skate thing, or whether this is going to be whether you're driving through this. Someone had suggested to Elon on Twitter that, well, why not just make it like a self-driving thing? You know, like as soon as they get down in there, they touch something on the touch screen and it goes boom, and it takes you to SpaceX. And Elon was like, oh, that seemed like a good idea. Like he hadn't thought of that, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know that it makes sense to have any sort of manual driving in a tunnel, but maybe that's better than the skates.
See if I can get this picture come up a little bigger. No, but what I find interesting up here in the upper right corner, it's like they give the height of the garage that the car is parked in. Because that's vital, apparently.
That's not there anymore, right? Because there's this enormous hole in the ground there now.
The whole thing just fell in.
Yeah. This garage, just for scale purposes or something, right?
Yeah. And let's see, there might be. Oh, wait, I get back. Oh, this one. Oh, here it is. Looking down. So, garage used to be here. I don't know.
Yeah. But allegedly.
I just have to ask. I mean, that is a big hole. I mean, look at the diameter.
It's big. This is the vertical shaft that meets with the Boring Company tunnel. Now, this is obviously is much bigger than the Boring Company tunnel, the actual traveling tunnel. And I don't know why, if it's for auxiliary equipment or ICBMs or what. But, yeah.
And let's see, is it? Yeah. So here's a car in the tunnel. Is that I have to ask, is that a real picture?
I don't know how it could be.
But I don't, there's nothing it would be on unless it is on the skid, and the skid on the rails.
You can't see the skid. It's possible.
It's possible. Yeah.
So also this week it was announced that that Elon is planning on opening up this tunnel to the public on December 10th. So if you're in Hawthorne or somewhere thereabouts, I don't know what kind of access and what they mean by opening it to the public. There's a few, and by a few, I mean like 11 million people in Los Angeles. That's a big party.
And if you see this opening, just drive right into it.
Yeah, just as fast as you can.
Yeah.
So nonetheless, again, this was just a few days ago. Elon said that the first tunnel is almost done and it opens December 10th. There's going to be some kind of free rides for the public the next day. And I have no idea what's going on, but hopefully it's not that little rocket tube they made for the Thailand rescues, because that would be uncomfortable and small.
Wait a minute.
What?
You said December 10th.
December 10th, yes.
But December 10th is when the second season of the Orville premieres.
Next story. I don't even know what that is, Tony.
Oh my God, you have never seen the show The Orville?
I have not.
Oh man, you are so missing out. Come on, chat room, back me up on this one. Orville is hilarious.
Orville?
Orville, yeah, it's the name of the ship, like Enterprise. It's the Orville.
Oh, this is what's his name? Seth MacFarlane's show,
Seth
right?
MacFarlane's thing, yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't watched it.
Oh God, it's funny.
Sorry.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
I know. Well, let's talk about something that isn't funny. It turns out that there is some video, and we're not going to show that because then we get into copyright issues. But there is some video of some thieves stealing a Tesla through a key fob hack. And of course, the biggest problem they have is they've hacked this key fob, but they can't figure out how to unplug the car. I got nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Other than to say, Tesla has since released an optional pin to drive for the car operating system, which you can get access to the vehicle and then put the pin number in before it will go into drive. Unfortunately, this Model S owner in the UK did not do that. And there you go. Now, does that mean that Teslas all over the world are going to start being stolen at a rapid rate? I don't know.
No.
Probably not. It's honestly, if I was going to steal a car, I would really want one that wasn't constantly connected by GPS to the company that made it. You know what I mean? Like, I have this feeling that no matter what, that scenario doesn't end well.
Yeah, I was glancing at the article here, and they pointed out that you simply need to click the button on the cable's handle and then just remove it. And so they were just tugging on it without actually pressing the button.
Stupid. Well, I mean, I guess not stupid, smart enough to hack the fob and the system, but not smart enough to learn how charging protocols work. And
now that they've read this article, they'll have better luck the second time.
Yeah, I just don't know that I'm going to steal a Tesla. It's very connected vehicle. And I would just be concerned that at any point, like, where do you go to charge it? You have to completely hack up some kind of new identity.
Yes. And this is not the first time we've laughed at thieves trying to steal a Tesla, because as we reported a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago, someone did successfully steal a Tesla. But they had to charge it, and every time they plugged it in, they had an electronic footprint that said, "I'm here now. I'm here now. I'm here now."
Yeah, even if you don't use superchargers,
it still connects.
Yeah, obviously, if you're in a supercharger, that's not. Hey, they must be shooting scenes from Top Gun over my house. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot there for most of us. I mean, you can certainly enact the pin to drive, and then you put in a little pin number and you go. No big deal.
Yeah. I do have to question how many people will actually engage that.
Yeah. Next up, Inside EVs claims that the standard battery Tesla Model 3, February to April of 2019. This is the much vaunted $35,000 base model Tesla Model 3. Assuming, let me add the most important part of the sentence, if there are no delays. And we know delays never happen in Tesla. So that's good news. Very good news. Sadly, not good enough to get the $7,500 tax credit, and probably not good enough to get the $3,750 tax credit. Which means what is it? Does it, and then half again for the last
half again.
So a little less than 1,800, 1,875 or something.
Yeah, I think it gets cut in half until it's zero.
Well,
I'll
not
let the mathematicians in the chat room work that one out.
right, right. Yeah. In 3.4 seconds, it's zero. But that's certainly it's good news. We hope they can get there and do that and start selling those $35,000 Model 3s, because there's a lot of people undoubtedly on that waiting list waiting for that semi-mythical creature now.
And the one thing we do know about is the federal tax incentive, but everyone should be paying attention. If you're looking to buy a Tesla, then there's a good chance you're already aware of local, state, federal, community tax incentives. So even though the federal incentive in the United States might be sunsetting, your state or any other local government might still have incentives in place. So it doesn't mean stop looking, or write off the Tesla. There's other things that you can buy. Plus, the gas savings, if you want to go that route, then throw that into the mix.
Even more.
Yeah.
Even more. One of the other stories we talked about on the special What Drives Us, where we talked about full self-driving, we kind of touched on this for a moment. There's an interesting court case that was just decided in the Netherlands. A Model S, an 85 Model S owner had sued Tesla because he had told them that he was using it for a taxi, and Tesla canceled the use, his access to, as I understand it, just one set of superchargers that he used to use the most, apparently because it was convenient. And he sued Tesla, saying that when he bought the vehicle, he was told that he would have free supercharging for life, not conditionally, not anything else. And yeah, as it turns out, the Netherlands court sided with the driver that yes, Tesla did make a commitment that free for life supercharging, and it means free for life, and you can't exclude a vehicle because it has commercial use implications, as this vehicle does. And that was Tesla's claim in the court, was that because this was a commercial use vehicle, they had the right to rescind the free supercharging.
I'm willing to bet that the text has already changed. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and this is certainly this is the hard part of saying free for life, isn't it? Because life's a long time.
Right. Well, yeah, free for life unconditionally.
Yeah.
And, he found the perfect use case for free fuel, which is, I have this car and there's a lot less with an electric vehicle that can go wrong. So having a Model S as a taxi could give me, what we saw the Model 3 motor after 1 million miles. So, it could go a very long time with very little maintenance. And oh, by the way, I get free fuel for life.
Right.
So what taxi cab driver wouldn't love that, or even a company owner? And I see it both ways. I can see both sides of the argument. This guy is saying, you told me it was free supercharging for life unconditionally. Tesla saying, yeah, but we didn't mean as a business. But the law is the law and the contract's the contract.
There you go.
So,
I think that's good for everybody out there. I think that's good for vehicle consumers. We've seen a lot of corporate moves where, like, for instance, when you buy something, let's call it digital music, that you don't really own it. What the companies that sell this have alleged is that you're licensing it, so that any time they can change that license, or they can revoke that license, or put conditions on it. When it used to be, when you bought something, you held it in your hand and it was yours.
all right.
So this is at least a big decision in the Netherlands, in that, yes, when you buy something, you can do as you wish with it, and you get to take advantage of the incentives the manufacturers provided. What,
Yeah.
Tony? You look like you had something.
No, I was like, in my head, I was just wondering now how many Model S's are becoming taxi cabs in the Netherlands.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. Well, and finally, and you're saying finally, it's only 4:35, Russell. Well, 4:35 in the Pacific time zone, my friends.
Yeah.
Finally, The big story. The big story is the Tesla earnings call, which, according to some, is happening right now, or maybe happened a little earlier today. Electrek talked about what they expected to find, but we have a report on the automotive news from our friend Ed Niedermeyer, who listened to the call and wrote a story about it. And I'm going to read some bits out of there. So our thanks to Automotive News and to our friend Ed Niedermeyer. Here's the good news from Fremont, folks. Tesla reported net income of $312 million for its third quarter. This is the first GAAP profit that Tesla has been able to claim in 2 years. That's huge. That's huge. This happens as revenue double amid rising production of the Model 3 sedan. Keep in mind, this time last year, Tesla had posted a $619 million loss. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouchie.
That's a near $1 billion turnaround.
It's amazing. Needless to say, that's amazing. A lot of it, Niedermeyer goes on to talk about looking at the balance sheet, that apparently $566 million came from Tesla asking, remember we reported this here, Tesla's retroactively asking suppliers to reduce the costs to them of things that they had contracted to buy. That's a significant, $500 million.
Yeah. Nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah, David in the chat is saying that Elon in the call confirms their intention to pay off their debt. So if they're profitable and it looks like they're going to stay profitable for a while, then the best thing they could do is funnel those profits to pay off their debt, or install a very large swimming pool at SpaceX.
I thought it was frozen yogurt in the factory. Didn't Elon say something about frozen yogurt and a roller coaster, and an interior roller coaster? That's right.
Yeah.
Roller coaster and frozen yogurt factory. Let's see. More stuff from the earnings call. Tesla produced 5,300 Model 3s in the last week of the quarter. The number of hours to produce each Model 3 fell by more than 30%. That's huge. 30% decrease in labor to produce a vehicle obviously helps them enormously get towards being profitable. They delivered a total of 56,065 Model 3s to customers during that quarter. They also delivered 27,000 Model S and Model X's in that same quarter. Tesla's operating expenditures declined by $133 million. Niedermeyer points out, as Tesla owners around the country volunteer to help company deliver vehicles, probably not accounting for that directly, $133 million. I think there's probably some other things there, but yeah. I'm sorry, Tony.
Not bad for a little startup cottage company.
There's a lot of zeros and a lot of, yeah. Tesla reported that fewer than 20% of the 455,000 Model 3 orders the company reported have been canceled. Fewer than 20%. We've certainly speculated. That's fueled a lot of speculation. How many of those original people are still hanging in there? And the idea that they still have that many reservations to fill is, that's enormous. That's money.
It's at 0.20. I absolutely suck. So that's 91,000.
Yeah. I could have done that without the math.
I could not. So that leaves 364,000 still on the books, and we have no idea how many continue to get on, how many new orders they're taking,
right,
day after day. So
absolutely. And Elon has repeatedly said that new orders are still strong for 3 and SNX. So going back to Ed's article, and Ed, thanks once again, Ed Niedermeyer in the Automotive News. Let's see. Tesla shares soared in after hours trading. It was down to like 260. Then it was up at the end of the day today, like 280. But yeah, it's up over 300 right now.
And they're expecting it to go up. Let me bring this up here.
Don't bring it up. Don't
bring
it up.
No, too late. There it is.
Yeah.
So so yeah, it's 288 at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, when it
and they're expecting it to go to 3:30 in after hours.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge.
Which is not bad considering that when Elon was taunting the SEC on Twitter, it had dropped down to 250. And that was October 8th. And so it's just been going up since then.
Well, a little bit of down, but yeah, this is the strongest surge. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow after this report, right?
Right. We have the year-to-date trend.
Oh, yeah.
So if you know how to work the roller coaster, then, there's some downs and some ups.
As we have said many times on this show, and I'll quote our friend Patrick Connor, Tesla has always been a volatile stock. And if you don't understand that, you probably shouldn't be investing in it.
And if you're using us for investment advice, you probably shouldn't be buying stock.
Right. Probably. I think that's probably, definitely should not be buying stock based on anything we say here. Okay. And that's about it. Now, maybe that's because there's probably a lot of stuff to unpack. There's probably a lot of reports, the balance sheets and whatnot that they release with this. But that's what we have from the earnings call. That is all good news for Tesla.
Yes, very much.
So that's I feel like we need some champagne or something.
Yeah. This really, and I know there were a lot of people in our special show that felt that we were, we were beating on Elon and we were beating on Tesla, but no, we really, champion and advocate for Tesla and all the good that they're doing. So this is when they report a profitable quarter. This is the moment we've been waiting for since about 2010.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We've watched all the rides. I remember Elon calling together the original Roadster owners and saying that the price of their cars is going up because he needed the money to work on the Model S.
Right.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. He's like, guys, so the cost of your car is going to go up because we need the money to build the next cars that you're not buying right now, but everyone else is going to love it.
Look who just joined the call, our resident Tesla expert and stockholder, who's probably very happy right now.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Definitely. Patrick Connor.
I'm late because I was listening to their conference call, and I figured that was...
Did it just end?
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the big question of the show, Patrick, have you ever watched the Orville?
Yes, I have. I've watched Orville. Yes.
And?
It's hilarious. It's
okay, there you go, Russell. Yeah. You have to watch, or I can't believe you've never watched this show.
Yeah, it's it has a lot of the same sort of like moral lessons that Star Trek has, and yet it's not afraid to do fart jokes.
Yeah, it's great.
Very Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah. So Derek in the chat room said the short sellers lose $1.11 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay, money disappearing. Woo! That's so awesome.
Well, for the non-shorts, it's money appearing. So I'm on that side. So
one column.
Right.
Yes.
I get it. So Patrick, since you listened to what I assume was the entire call, we just sort of went over it via Ed's article in Automotive News. Did you have any particular observations that jumped out at you?
A couple things. So when they asked questions that Musk didn't want to answer, he just said, "We're not prepared to answer that today," and it was much more of a, let's say, mature attitude.
Wow.
And, So
who had the choke collar on Elon?
Well, maybe he's just learned some lessons, and so you don't have to get mad at them. You don't have to yell at them. You don't have to call them names. You can just say, "I'm not going to answer that." And next question, please. And so that was nice. And specifically, they asked, "What would the margins be on the $35,000 car if you sold it today?" And that's sort of a hypothetical. We're not selling it today, and so we're not going to answer it. And I think he said something like that question would be different every month you ask, because we're making improvements and changes. And then the other one was, what qualifications are you looking for in the new chairman of the board? And he just said, we're not talking about that today. Today's about the last quarter and operations. So a very, very different sort of Elon Musk on the call today.
So what you're saying is the best thing to report is that Elon didn't say some things. And I don't mean that sarcastically.
That he's learned some lessons and has that. What's the? There's a phrase. A mistake is a learning opportunity, and he's made some mistakes, and it's good to see that he's learned some lessons from them.
He's a little more seasoned CEO than he was before.
Exactly. Right.
Wow. Anything else? I mean, any other observations? Any surprises?
No. And the surprises usually come from him answering, going off script and spouting things, and that wasn't happening today. They did have a lot of talk about how they don't make their cars just to pass the safety test. Like, they don't say, okay, here's where the side impact's going to hit, let's reinforce that. Instead, they have a more holistic view of where's the weakest point in the car, let's reinforce that. So they had a lot of talk about how their cars are safe, and they had one of their safety engineers come on who's been in charge of their safety program for 10 years and gave him some airtime, and it was nice. Yeah, good stuff.
So do you think he was sitting at the table and directly across the table was the lawyer and the chief financial officer just staring at him every time he needed to answer a question?
No, he seemed pretty relaxed. They also had their safety person come on. She's been there for about a year and talking about how they're reporting and how they want to have the safest factory in the world and how they're working towards that and how their numbers are lower than the industry average. And they've been accused of underreporting in the past and how Cal OSHA investigated that and found that not to be true. And it's just part of the spotlight of being Tesla that a lot of those things get exaggerated in the press. So that was also nice to see that they're not abusing their employees to the point of injury just to get these cars out.
There you go. Was May on?
May Musk, his mom.
I just all of a sudden May's like this, like force to be reckoned with on Twitter. You know what I mean? For like, you never ever heard from her, and then literally for like the last month, she's like a fury on Twitter. So yeah, if Musk showed up an earnings call, I would not be surprised at all.
Are we sure that there's a May? Maybe it's just Elon's alternate.
Well, that has certainly been long theorized that actually somebody else has a password to May's account and is using it. I don't like conspiracy theories. I don't care. I just,
that's funny though.
Yeah.
Now that Elon has to be have a team of people reviewing his tweets, he'll just use his mom's account.
there has been a lot of speculation that all of a sudden, May's unleashed when Elon's clamped down on. Well, that's an interesting sort of, but whatever. Hey,
I've already made it back. My son Elon has already made it very clear.
Oh, that's funny.
Right? And who's going to argue with somebody's mom? You know what I mean?
Right.
Leon, Elon, you're like, you're a fucking liar. You're like, it's Elon's mom. What are you going to be like? You're not going to call her names, are you? Somebody's mom. That is all I have for this week. I think that was a ton of Tesla news. And Patrick, I'm going to toss over to, do you have any one final things?
Nope, we don't have Mark today, so no one final thing.
We don't.
Yeah.
Mark was thinking maybe he'd call in, but he's off on a road trip today, and we will be back next week, rest assured. But thanks to Mark for all of the news that we did report on today. And once again, thanks to our friend Ed for his very nice automotive news article summarizing the earnings call before it was done. Now, but the call was done pretty quickly, and then it was just questions, right? The actual.
Well, they released their earnings letter maybe an hour or two before the call, so I assume that's what he based his article on.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, because it was posted at like 3:00 Pacific time, almost 2 hours
so yeah,
ago.
only a half hour before the call then.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, let's do some shout outs. Patrick, thanks for coming on. And now we're going to go off.
That's fine. Yep.
Hey, Tony, by the way, any titles from the chat room?
Nothing.
Nothing yet.
Yeah. Anyone want to throw something out? You've got, let's say 5 minutes.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, 5 minutes at the most. Let's do some shout outs and go home. Mr. Connor, last in, first out.
Okay. I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I occasionally blog at carswithcords.net. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Patrick, for coming on, because that's a huge help. Mr. Schaefer.
Of course, a shout out to everyone in the chat. That's great. If I didn't know Mark wasn't going to be on the show, I would have stopped at the store and picked up a Diet Pepsi. I would have choked down a Diet Pepsi in his honor.
And picked up one more thing.
Yeah, I didn't try to find one more thing.
Diet Dr. Pepper in Mark's honor.
Okay, there it is. That's close enough.
Thank you.
We could, Derek just put in the chat, this might be the show title, A Bad Day to Be a Shorter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he said a bad day to be a Tesla shorter, but I mean, it's the Tesla Life, so I think it might be.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Patrick, like we said on the show earlier, that been waiting for them to post a profit for many years. It's what, 2 years?
It's been 2 years since they posted a profit.
Yeah, so it's a good day.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a good day. 312 million is 312 million.
Yeah.
As always, you can find us on Twitter, at the Tesla Life. Follow us there and get all of our updates. You can interact with us there as well. On Facebook, we're the Tesla Life 1. That's numeral 1, the Tesla Life 1. And of course, here on YouTube, search YouTube for the Tesla Life Show. Look for our shiny red logo. Do click the subscribe button. You'll automatically be notified whenever we do a new show. And that's it. It's a huge help for us, and we appreciate your support. My thanks to everyone in the chat room. My thanks to Patrick Connor for coming in at the 11th hour to give us some earnings call credibility. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Schaefer, thank you for being half the dynamic duo that did all the heavy lifting today.
Yay.
I'm going to go with Bad Day to Be a Shorter.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That. So once again, cheers. Tune in next week and find out what is going on in the Tesla life. See you next week. And thanks to Lee Moon for the theme music. Why do I always forget Lee? Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, thanks, Lee.
We'll see you later.